How in the world can anyone be jacked as a vegan? This is literally something that I used to ask myself way before I went vegan. All right, so I've been editing this video for the last couple of hours, and the intro, I'll admit, is a little bit long-winded, so I'll just cut to the chase. If you're a vegan who's trying to gain muscle, this is a video you have to watch. I'm gonna be sharing my top training, diet, and mindset tips that are absolutely going to change how you make progress over the next couple years. Let's get into it. Okay, first things first, do not underestimate warm-ups. I know everyone's always talking about, oh, longevity and avoiding injury, which yes, that's definitely what it does too. But if you aren't able to fire the muscles you're going to use during your workout, during your warm-up, then you're gonna be wasting that entire workout. Even if you can bench a lot of weight, if you're not using your chest muscles, you're not gonna stimulate growth in those muscles, and they are going to stay lagging behind. The perfect warm-up for everybody is different, but there is one secret tip that everybody should be using. This exercise is excellent. So put a cable on the lowest pulley setting and then sit your butt on the ground. And basically what you're trying to do is stimulate that rear delt. So you're doing a row, but as you're doing it, you're sort of pulling through your pinky and you're sort of pulling outward, sort of externally rotating as you are doing the exercise. And the way that you can really help to fire is take your other hand and put it on the back of your shoulder and actually touch your rear delt. If it's not firing, then you're not doing it right. So chest up, try to push your clavicle away from your body. And as you're pulling, pull that elbow into your side, but do sort of a twisting movement like this, get that rear delt to fire. In every upper body movement that you ever do, you should always have your rear delts firing. When you start having your rear delts fire during all your exercises, you will see so much more growth. And a bonus is that your rear delts are gonna look a lot more snatch. Let's go. Don't underestimate this tip. If you're somebody who experienced bloating from certain foods, you know, potatoes, beans, whatever, you just can't have a lot of fiber intake, that can really stop you from eating enough calories. Or if you're somebody who grew up, like I did, using mass gainers, and then you turn vegan and you don't have a mass gainer, a smoothie is essentially a mass gainer because it's all liquid calories. For me, I can get 1,000 calories in one smoothie and have that whole thing digested within an hour, and I'm ready for my next big meal. So if you're a hard gainer and it's hard to get all the calories in without being bloated, start using smoothies, sometimes multiple times a day. Okay, another thing that has been absolutely pivotal for me, and people will fight you back and forth on this, you gotta train to absolute failure. This doesn't have to be every single set, but at least the majority of your sets, you should be pushing until you are literally shaking, barely able to finish the rep. You might have heard of the term progressive overload, right? The basic idea is that your body will not change unless it is forced to change. You get to the absolute limit of what you're capable of. That way your body says, ooh, we failed. Next time we need to be stronger, so we're gonna rebuild, basically, right? And so if you always stay in a safe area, if you're always doing 8 reps with 60 pounds over and over and over, there's no reason for you to, actually grow. Pushing to absolute failure and then trying to do more reps or slightly more weight next time is a surefire way to make progress. But I'm telling you, I've done both ways. I've been more conservative and left like 3 or 4 reps in the tank and just done more volume, and I've pushed to absolute failure, and I always see better results when I push to absolute failure. All right, so I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. The vegan world kind of went a little crazy by telling people that you don't need as much protein as we've all been led to believe. While that's kind of true, it's also kind of not true. So I'll tell you the story. When I first went vegan, I was eating literally just lentils and beans. That's all I knew that had protein. And so I was eating so much. Then people started commenting, being like, look, I don't understand why you're eating so much lentils, beans, tofu, and tempeh, and seitan. Those are like my 5 sources. And they were like, you don't need that much protein. And I was like, maybe I don't. So I started lowering and lowering and lowering and lowering my protein until I was getting something like 110 grams a day. Now for a while, I thought this was okay. I thought this wasn't really affecting me, but over months and then close to a year, I massively saw a difference. So then I said, you know what? I'm gonna start bringing my protein back up. So I raised it and raised it. And once I got up to about 145 plus grams, so somewhere usually between 145 and 180 is where I land on a day-to-day basis now, I started seeing things happen a lot quicker. So
while you don't need the 2 grams per pound of body weight that you used to think you did back when you were reading muscle magazines before you were vegan, you don't need that much. You definitely do need more than 110 grams of protein, especially if you're a guy who's about 200 pounds and 6'1".
All right, this tip is huge. It's simple and it kind of sounds stupid, but I'm serious. Don't care what people think about you at the gym. Don't let what people are thinking about the exercises that you're doing dictate the exercises that you're doing. If your body needs you to do high box squats to be able to get better at the lockout, to get bigger quads, then do those. Don't let people say that, oh, you know, squats that aren't parallel don't count. It's all functional and only you know your body. So do whatever exercises are gonna be best for you. Don't care about what other people are thinking or if they're looking at you or anything like that. Here's a big tip that I learned a couple years into it. Everybody is obsessed with themselves. So when they're in the gym, they're thinking about themselves and they're thinking about what other people are thinking about them. They're literally never looking at you and nobody ever cares what you're doing. So right now, just banish that belief from your head that anybody is staring at you, that what anybody thinks about you matters.
Okay, now I know you've heard this one before, but there's more to it, so listen. I ate more carbs than I ever have before for bigger pumps and better performance in the gym. Now, literally today, a guy came up to me in the gym and he was saying like, man, you got the dream physique. And he was asking me like, how much protein do you have? And I was telling him, I just have over 145. I usually average about 160. And he was like, that's it? And I was telling him that when you take yourself down from that crazy amount of like 300, 400 grams of protein, you can exchange those extra proteins for carbs. And what happens is that you're able to fill your glycogen stores, which is basically your energy for the muscle. You'll be able to fill those up more. You're gonna have bigger pumps during your workout, which feels great, but also you're going to be able to do more reps. You're gonna be stronger and just overall have more energy, so you'll be able to do more volume. All of that pans out to you're eating the same calories, but having more carbs and having better workouts, which equals bigger muscles, period. So earlier in the video, I told you, do not underestimate taking advantage of someone who's already spent the time making mistakes and getting experience. Something else that people underestimate when it comes to working with somebody with more experience is the ability to set it and forget it. So basically rely on that person who has that knowledge of how to get you to your goals faster so that you can avoid all the mistakes they made. Take advantage of that experience and trust what they're telling you to do is the perfect plan to get you your progress, get you your goals as quickly as possible so that you can just focus on executing the plan each day instead of what a lot of people end up doing, which is questioning if what they're doing is working. If they aren't seeing the progress as quick, they start feeling like they're spinning their wheels. Sometimes they'll see different videos or things on Instagram, so they start second guessing. Maybe they should change their workouts, and then they just get themselves stressed out, demotivated, and then don't make the progress. And I don't mention this on my channel enough. I'm gonna start doing it more, but I offer vegan coaching and I have excellent results. Fantastic transformations of all different types of bodies. It doesn't matter where you are right now. If you wanna move along faster and not waste time, you should work with a coach. Just send me a DM on Instagram. It's @BrianTurnerOfficial. I'll message you back. We can talk about the details of coaching. Honestly, I'm kind of bad with texting, so I'll probably just audio message you. You'll literally be talking to me. So send me a DM, we can talk. Let's get back to the video. So this next tip is choosing 7 to 8 meals and just putting them on repeat. So what I mean is, so often when you are dieting, bulking, whatever it is, you are always eating all these different varieties of things. And so basically every single day is like this giant puzzle. And if at the end of the day, the puzzle isn't exactly the same, then you aren't gonna be making consistent results. So if some days you're way over calories, some days you're under, a lot of times it ends up just being you spinning your wheels, not making progress. So by taking away the stress of having to be like, what has a bunch of protein for dinner tonight? Or I'm not sure if I hit the right amount of protein, whatever, just have 2 to 3 meals for breakfast that you eat on repeat. 2 to 3 meals for lunch, you eat on repeat. 2 to 3 meals for dinner, you eat on repeat. It makes life a lot easier. I've said this a few times on the channel recently, but use protein powders to hit your protein while dieting. For some reason, people are so adverse to protein powders in the vegan world. In the non-vegan fitness world, nobody cares about using a lot of protein powder. And sure, there can be an argument about trying to be the most healthy and eating the most whole foods. I get it, but getting to your goals is also very important. And so if for a short period of time, maybe like an 8-week cut or something, if you're doing a 12-week cut, if you have to rely a little bit on protein powders to hit your protein and make your life more fun and reasonable, that can be really powerful. So when I'm dieting and I have to eat a ton less calories, I like to have a gigantic bowl of salad, a gigantic bowl of popcorn. Both those things don't have a lot of protein, but I'll just have a protein shake with it. Now, that's a meal that has 25 grams of protein. It's a great way to get your protein in. Of course, shameless plug, I have to let you know, I am an affiliate with Viva Life. You can use my link, vivalifebrian.com, in the description below to get all sorts of vegan supplements just like protein for yourself. Now, we've saved the best for last, and I'm not exaggerating that. This is the most important tip that I can give you, and it's something that absolutely has played a huge part in my 8-year vegan bodybuilding career. I changed my belief of what I'm capable of. So I'll tell you a quick little story. When I first went vegan, I was actually going through this very interesting phase of my life where I was dealing with some nagging injuries in my shoulder, in my hip, in my knee, and I was letting it change my narrative of what I'm capable of. I was getting honestly irritated, which is terrible fuel for this, right? I was getting irritated that other people didn't have to do warm-ups, didn't have to do stretching, didn't have to do all these rehab exercises, didn't have to see a physical therapist. They were just going in the gym and not even doing warm-ups and just doing terrible form, and they had no problems. And here I am over here spending literally 3 sessions a week with a physical therapist, spending an hour and a half before I actually start the workout, still having injuries and still having inflammation in my shoulder, not being able to do exercises that I've done a million times before. And that got into my head and it changed what I believe was possible. So I was literally saying to myself, I'm just trying to hold on to the muscle that I have. I'm just trying to still look like I lift. Like I was honestly going through this kind of like depressing phase in my life, and it was really freaking tough. I'll tell you, it freaking sucked. But what happened over the years is I learned that what you say to yourself is what happens in real life. There's a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murray, and it talks about what you tell yourself consciously, what you think. Your subconscious mind later that night says, oh, these are all the truths of our life. This is what you think. This is what we're going to seal into our subconscious, and our subconscious will take efforts to make it happen. So when I was throwing a pity party for myself and saying like, I'll never be where I was, I've looked better before, I can't do all these movements and yada, 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 my subconscious was literally making that happen. You know, there's a whole bunch of other books that I really love. There's this book by Esther Hicks called Ask and It Is Given, and it talks about how we are extremely powerful creators and our words create our reality. And I also really vibe and believe in that too. And once I started changing the way I talked about myself, I started saying different mantras every day. Like here's one I say all the time. I am literally creating the best physique I've ever had in my life. That's just one of the things I talk about with my body, but I do that with all areas of my life. And doing this over the last 2-3 years has massively changed everything. I mean, I'm in there doing bench presses that I wasn't able to do before because it would click and hurt my arm. I'm not having any trouble with my knees when I'm doing heavy squat. Literally everything is aligning and my body is looking the best it's ever looked. So I wanted to bring this up because it's not a nutrition or a training point, but it's a spiritual point. It's a thought process point that is almost more important than all the other points. And hopefully bringing stuff up like that is what sets me apart from other fitness, influencers that you follow, because I really do want to integrate both of those things because it's a huge part of who I am. But with that, it brings us to the end of the video. Now, these are only some of the tips I thought were very important. It's not every tip in the entire book. I will continue sharing tips on my channel, so make sure that you subscribe because you're going to get so much knowledge. And again, that saves you time, which also literally is basically saving you money. So subscribe if you're not subscribed. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what tips you would add. Really do it in the comments below. Do it right now. Stop staring at me. Do it. And hit the thumbs up and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I'll see you guys in the very next video. Peace.